The rain was merciless that night. Heavy drops hammered the streets, each impact echoing like tiny drumbeats in the dark. Cars rushed by, their headlights slicing through the mist, but few dared to stop. In the middle of the chaos, a sleek black car slowed down near a grand iron gate. Inside sat Daniel Crawford, a millionaire known for his sharp suits, decisive voice, and the kind of wealth people whispered about. His mansion stood beyond the gate, its lights glowing faintly in the storm. But just before the gates opened, Daniel's sharp eyes caught something unusual. Two figures, huddled on the ground, drenched, trembling. Their frail hands clutched each other, as if holding on to life itself. "Stop the car," Daniel muttered, his voice low but urgent. The driver hesitated. "Sir, it's pouring. They're probably just beggars." "I said stop," Daniel snapped. The car screeched to a halt. Daniel's chest tightened as he stepped out. The cold rain lashed against his face, soaking his expensive coat within seconds. The streets smelled of wet asphalt and despair. And then he saw them clearly. An elderly man and woman, clothes clinging to their thin bodies, faces pale, lips trembling. Their eyes fluttered open for a second, then shut again. "Dear God," Daniel whispered, his throat tightening. He knelt down, his hand trembling as he reached for the old man's shoulder. "Sir, can you hear me?" The man groaned weakly. The woman coughed, her fragile frame shivering violently. Daniel's heartbeat thundered. He looked around. The world kept moving, cars racing by, people pretending not to see. Why them? Why here? Why tonight? For the first time in years, Daniel felt something he thought he had buried long ago: helplessness. And yet, deep inside, he knew this was not just an accident. This was the beginning of something far bigger. The storm raged on as Daniel made his decision. But what he didn't know was that this night would change his life forever. What would you have done in his place? Drive past or stop? Daniel's hands were ice cold as he shouted at his driver, "Help me carry them. Now." The driver hesitated, glancing nervously at the drenched couple. "Sir, if we bring strangers into the house?" Daniel's voice cut like thunder. "Do it." Together, they lifted the trembling bodies into the car. Daniel's leather seats quickly darkened with water, but he didn't care. His chest tightened as the woman coughed weakly, whispering something. Her lips barely moved, but Daniel caught it. A name. Edward. He glanced at the old man, whose head rested heavily against the window. Was that his name? The car sped past the iron gates, gliding along the stone path toward the mansion. Every flash of lightning revealed the grandeur of the Crawford estate: tall pillars, sprawling lawns, and glass windows glowing faintly in the storm. But tonight, its beauty fell hollow. The mansion doors burst open. Warmth and golden lights spilled out as servants rushed forward, their eyes widening at the sight. "Prepare a room," Daniel commanded. His deep voice echoed through the marble hall. The butler stepped forward cautiously. "Sir, who are they?" Daniel shook his head, droplets of rain flying from his hair. "I don't know, but they won't survive the night if we leave them." The elderly couple was carried into a guest room. Their soaked clothes were changed. Hot blankets wrapped around their frail bodies. Doctors were summoned immediately. Daniel stood by the doorway, his fists clenched. He couldn't tear his eyes away. Something about them tugged at his chest. Their faces so fragile, so tired, and yet familiar. As the doctor checked their pulses, Daniel paced. He was used to solving problems with money, but this felt different. Suddenly, the woman stirred. Her fragile hand lifted slightly, reaching out. "Please don't let him." Her voice cracked. Tears glistened at the corners of her eyes. Daniel froze. "Don't let who?" But before he could press further, her head fell back, her breathing shallow but steady. The storm outside grew louder, as if nature itself was warning Daniel. He stared at them, his mind racing. Who were they? Why did fate place them at his gates? Something deep within whispered that this was no coincidence. And Daniel was right, because the truth behind this couple would shake the very foundation of his world. What secret did these strangers carry? The next morning, the storm had passed. Sunlight poured into the mansion, making the marble floors gleam. But Daniel's mind was anything but calm. He hadn't slept. He stood by the guest room door, watching the elderly couple breathe softly under the blankets. Their faces looked more peaceful now, but his unease only grew stronger. The doctor approached him quietly. They're weak, but stable. Malnourished, exhausted, they've been through something terrible. Daniel nodded. Thank you, doctor. Leave the rest to me. When the room fell silent again, Daniel finally sat down near the bedside. His eyes studied them. The woman's silver hair clung gently to her forehead. The man's lined face bore the weight of years of hardship. Then slowly, the old man's eyes opened. Daniel leaned forward instantly. You're safe here. Rest. The man's voice was hoarse, trembling. Why would you help us? Daniel hesitated. Because no one else did. For a long moment, the old man simply looked at him. His eyes, though tired, held a depth of sorrow Daniel couldn't explain. Then came a whisper. They took everything from us. Daniel frowned. Who did? The old man closed his eyes again, as if afraid to say more. They ruined us. Left us with nothing. His weak hand trembled on the blanket. Daniel's jaw tightened. Something about his words stirred a memory. His father's voice years ago, speaking bitterly about betrayal, about enemies who thrived on destroying others. Could it be connected? Later that day, Daniel's butler entered quietly. Sir, I found something. In the woman's dress pocket. He placed a worn photograph on the table. Daniel froze. It was a picture of a young couple, smiling, holding a child between them. The edges were torn, the colors faded, but Daniel's heart pounded as he recognized it. The child in the photo was him. Daniel's breath caught. This can't be. He stared at the elderly couple lying in the bed, his chest burning with questions. Could it be true? Could these strangers be his parents? Daniel's entire body felt heavy, as if the ground beneath him had shifted. His parents? Impossible. His real parents had died when he was young. At least, that was what he had always been told. His voice trembled as he held the photo. Why do you have this? The woman stirred awake. Her eyes opened slowly, and when they landed on Daniel, tears welled instantly. My son, she whispered. The words pierced him like a blade. Daniel stumbled back. No, that's not possible. My parents, they're gone. She tried to sit up, her frail hands reaching toward him. They lied to you, Daniel. We never left you. We were taken from you. His heart raced. His mind screamed for logic, for reason, but nothing made sense. Taken? By who? His voice rose, echoing across the room. The elderly man coughed, forcing out the words. By those who raised you. They wanted your inheritance. They wanted us out of the way. We've been searching for you ever since. Daniel's head spun. He remembered the coldness of his so-called guardians, the way they always reminded him to forget the past, to focus only on business. Why should I believe you, he demanded, his fists shaking. The woman's eyes glistened. She whispered a lullaby. The very same lullaby Daniel hadn't heard since childhood, one that used to calm him when he woke from nightmares. His knees weakened. Memories flooded in, the melody, the warmth, the love. His throat closed. No, it can't be. Tears streamed down the woman's face. It is us, Daniel. We are your mother and father. The room fell silent except for the steady ticking of the clock. Daniel's world had shattered. If they were telling the truth, then everything he believed about his past was a lie. But could he trust them? Or was this another cruel scheme? Daniel stood frozen. His heart pounded, so loudly it drowned out every other sound. His mind replayed the lullaby, the photograph, the trembling words of the couple before him. Could this be real? Or was it some cruel illusion? The storm had passed outside, but inside his soul, a new storm had begun. He clenched his fists. If you're truly my parents, then prove it. Tell me something no one else could know. The woman's lips quivered as she whispered, when you were 6, you tried to hide a stray puppy in your room. You wrapped it in your blankets, but it chewed your favorite toy. You cried all night until I held you in my arms and told you that love always leaves a mark. Daniel's breath caught. His knees gave out. and he sank onto the edge of the bed. He remembered that night. No one else could have known. Tears burned his eyes. Mother, father. The elderly man reached out with trembling hands. We never abandoned you, son. They lied to you, stole you from us, and built their empire on our suffering. Daniel's chest heaved. He thought of the cold faces of his guardians, the endless lessons in power and wealth, the warnings to never look back. Suddenly it all made sense, their cruelty, their obsession with control. But rage burned just as fiercely as relief. They destroyed us. They destroyed you. The man coughed, his voice hoarse but steady. Daniel, don't let anger consume you. What matters is that we found each other again. That love survived. For the first time in decades, Daniel felt the embrace of family. He leaned forward, holding their hands, his tears mixing with theirs. The warmth of that moment pierced through years of emptiness. But even as he held them, his mind sharpened with resolve. I will uncover everything. I will make them pay for what they've done. The old woman shook her head gently. Justice, yes. But revenge will only chain you, my son. Promise me you won't lose yourself the way they did. Daniel's throat tightened. He nodded slowly. I promise. Just then, thunder rumbled faintly in the distance, as if the world itself acknowledged his vow. The butler entered quietly, eyes wide. Sir, someone has arrived. It's them. Daniel's heart stopped. His so-called guardians. The very people who had stolen his life, standing at his gates. The elderly couple gripped his hands tighter. Fear flickered in their eyes. Daniel rose to his feet, his voice steady now. They've hidden the truth long enough. Tonight it ends. The camera of fate was turning toward the grand confrontation. A son reborn, parents rediscovered, lies about to be shattered. And as Daniel walked toward the great doors of his mansion, his heart carried both fire and forgiveness. The night had begun with a storm, but it was ending with clarity. And the world was about to witness what happens when truth finally steps out of the shadows.